Did you know that there is a single instant, just one moment, when everything can change, even if you stay sitting in the exact same place? It's not a fantasy or a trick from self-help. It's the subtle reality that sages have intuited, and that science is beginning to touch. Your outer world is simply a reflection of the frequency you sustain inside. Today, I invite you to cross that invisible threshold, where miracles are not empty promises, but the natural consequences of deeper understanding. Pause for a second and observe yourself, right now, wherever you are. What frequency are you vibrating at? Is it fear and repetition, or possibility and creation? Maybe until now, you felt your life moves like a train on fixed tracks, that events come in linear sequences, that your story is already written, and all that's left is to travel it. But today, here and now, I'm going to tell you the secret that transforms that perception forever. Your life is not a straight line, it's an infinite spiral of possibilities. Imagine that all around you there are thousands of invisible doors, each one connected to a different version of you, a different future, a reality ready to be experienced. Every time you make a decision, every time you choose to feel or think something new, your consciousness opens one of those doors and takes a quantum leap. At first it may be imperceptible, like the flutter of a butterfly's wings, but that small change modifies the entire panorama. A few years ago, I myself was trapped in the idea that everything was difficult, and that real changes only come after a lot of effort. I had learned to resign myself, to think that what happened to me was inevitable, that life was like that for everyone, until in one of the hardest moments, I felt that I couldn't stay in the same room any longer. There was a kind of tiredness, that's enough of this for me. That's when I discovered something that I later confirmed again and again in myself, and in hundreds of people. True change doesn't start outside. It begins when you allow yourself to desire, when you dare to imagine a different frequency, and above all when you feel it is real inside. This is not just theory. I've seen people heal chronic pain, change stagnant relationships, transform the economy of their life, and open unexpected paths, all without leaving home, just by learning to change the frequency they sustain day after day. Now, why don't they teach this in school? Why do most people keep repeating the same loops, as if reality were a prison, and not a continuous creation? Because the system, beliefs, culture, family, media, taught you to forget your real power, to lose the original frequency you came into the world with. Today I want to invite you to remember it. You don't need to understand everything from logic. You just need to open to the possibility, like when you were a child, and you knew anything could happen. Life responds to your dominant frequency. What you repeat in your emotions, your thoughts, what you believe is impossible or difficult, is only the echo of a frequency you can change, if you decide now. Ask yourself, what frequency am I feeding today? Fear, scarcity, guilt, resignation, or possibility, gratitude, wonder? Think about your day. Every decision, every emotion, every word is a point of bifurcation, a small door. Most people stay in the same room because they repeat the same frequency, even without realizing it. But you can choose. You can stay in that familiar place, or you can dare to try a new vibration, even if you don't yet know how it feels. Here is where the true magic begins. You don't need to move a single stone outside of you. You just need to allow yourself to feel something new inside. That by itself reorganizes your field, opens doors where there were once walls, and brings opportunities you couldn't even imagine. This channel exists to remind you of that. You are not alone. Every time you choose to tune into a new frequency, even for an instant, even if you doubt, even if it seems small, the universe responds. The spiral moves. The door opens. In the next few minutes, we'll go deeper. We'll see how to identify the frequency that dominates you today, how to cut ties with the story that holds you back, and how to open doors to realities where you already are the person you want to be. Remember, there's no limit outside you that you haven't first accepted inside. Now, before we continue, I propose your first visible minimum step, brief and powerful. Close your eyes, breathe in for 4, hold for 2, and release for 6. Set the intention. Today I open a new door inside me. Feel how your energy tunes up, even if just a little. Allow yourself to perceive the possibility that everything can change. Stay with that feeling for a few seconds, and let the inner movement begin. In the next few minutes, we keep traveling up the spiral. You're closer to changing your reality than you think. Have you ever wondered why? No matter what you try, life keeps showing you the same movie, the same scenes, the same challenges. It's not bad luck, nor destiny, nor some hidden punishment from the universe. It's all about your dominant frequency. Most people live for years trapped in a loop. They repeat emotions, thoughts, and decisions that reinforce exactly the kind of reality they wish to change. Sometimes they feel like they're making progress, but in reality, they're just moving in circles. And it all starts at an almost invisible point, the internal frequency you choose, often without knowing it. Stop for a moment and observe your day. How often do you wake up thinking about what's hard, what's missing, what hurts? At what moments do you let yourself be dragged down by fear, guilt, or routine? Even if you don't see it, that's broadcasting a subtle code, a vibration the quantum field recognizes and multiplies. It's as if every thought is a key, giving you access to a specific room inside the infinite building of possibilities. For example, there was a time in my life when I would almost always wake up with a heavy feeling, as if the future were written in dark ink. Every time I tried to change, something would pull me back to the starting point, until I realized something. It wasn't the world that was resisting. It was me, repeating the same frequency, the same channel, even if I changed the decorations. I saw it happen with people close to me too. That friend who always ended up in similar relationships, even though she swore this time would be different. That relative who, despite switching jobs, always ended up in the same kind of conflict. Or myself. Whenever I tried to manifest abundance, but deep down was still tuned to the frequency of lack. This becomes an invisible trap. We think the solution is out there, that the external must change first, when in reality, the external is just echoing our inner world. The key, and this is the big revelation, is to learn to identify your current dominant frequency, that emotion, that belief, that background note, that colors every day, almost without you noticing. So, how do you recognize it? Look at the repetitions in your life. What situations keep coming back? What themes do you stumble on, again and again? Behind each recurring cycle, there's a frequency you haven't changed yet. This isn't about blaming yourself or forcing anything. It's about inner honesty. The first act of power is to admit, this thing that repeats is my unconscious creation. If I created it, I can deactivate it. Picture it this way. Your consciousness is like a radio tuner. Every intense emotion, every recurring thought, every story you tell yourself is a dial you're choosing, often without realizing it. And each time you stay on that frequency, it gets more real, more solid. But in truth, it's all still just field, pure possibility, waiting for you to turn the dial. I remember that not long ago, talking with someone who felt nothing ever worked. I suggested a little challenge. For just one day, she simply observed herself, without judgment. Every time an uncomfortable emotion appeared, she just watched it, named it, without running away. By the end of the day, she told me, I realized how many times I was telling myself the same story of impossibility, without even noticing. It's like my mind had an old script on repeat. That's the first big step to observe your dominant frequency, without fear, without shame, with the curiosity of a learner. When you do this, something starts to loosen, the spiral stops spinning in circles, and begins to rise. Here's where most people make the biggest mistake. They try to change reality with sheer effort, struggle, or resistance. They force themselves to think positive, to repeat empty phrases, to ignore their emotions. But the universe, your universe, doesn't respond to the mask, but to the real vibration you carry inside. That's why real transformation isn't born from control, but from honesty and conscious choice. When you dare to look at your frequency and accept that it's yours, you reclaim the power to choose a different one. That's the true art of the inner magician, not to deny what's there, but to use it as a springboard to jump into a new reality. Try this experiment right now. Think of a situation that keeps repeating in your life. and that you don't like. Close your eyes and name it. Feel the emotion it brings up, acknowledge it, don't fight it or cover it up. Just watch it, as if you were a curious scientist. That's the beginning of alchemy. In the next few minutes, we'll discover how, once you've recognized your dominant frequency, you can start to shift it, to open the spiral, and tune in to the version of yourself that's waiting for that internal click. And now, before moving to the next door, I propose a brief practice, your visible minimum step for today. Close your eyes. Breathe in for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6. Allow a memory of a recurring emotion to come up naturally. Say to it internally, I see you, I know you're here, I choose to open to something new. Stay with that feeling for a few seconds, noticing that, even if it's subtle, something in your field is already starting to move. In the next part, we'll go to the core, how to transform that frequency, and create from within, the fork in the road that leads you to a new reality. Stay with me. The spiral keeps opening. Have you ever noticed that, even when you try your hardest, some things simply refuse to change? You tell yourself you'll think positive, you affirm abundance. You swear this time will be different. But at the end of the day, the scenery seems to repeat itself. The reason isn't your lack of willpower or your capacity to dream, but something much subtler and deeper. The resonance of your inner field. In real life, the universe doesn't respond to what you want from your mind, but to the authentic frequency you're holding in your energetic field. This is so simple, and yet so revolutionary, that most people ignore it. You can repeat an affirmation 1,000 times, but if your background emotion is still vibrating in fear, scarcity, or doubt, your reality will keep echoing that tune. I remember a time, not long ago, when I tried to attract an important change in my life. I knew exactly what I wanted: a new opportunity, a different relationship, a specific result. I visualized it, made my lists, set all my intentions. But deep inside, I could sense a subtle whisper of doubt. What if it doesn't happen? What if I'm not enough? That background noise is what quantum physics and ancient wisdom agree to call the dominant frequency. That whisper sets the real tempo, not the loud declarations of the conscious mind. Here, most people make the same mistake. They fight the symptom instead of observing the mechanism. They try to cover up fear with positive thoughts, or force themselves to feel gratitude when, deep down, there's anger, sadness, or exhaustion. But conscious magic doesn't begin with denial. It starts with deep recognition. You can only transmute what you're willing to look at directly, without judgment. That's why the real first step in transformation is not to force yourself to be positive, but to open up an internal space where everything can be seen just as it is. This is what I feel. This is what's here. But I choose not to identify solely with this state. I choose to open a new door, even if I don't see it yet. That is the greatest act of power. Picture a musician tuning their instrument before playing a melody. If one string is out of tune, it doesn't matter how hard they play, the sound will be off. That's how your field works. The external world can only amplify the frequency you truly hold, not the one you pretend or repeat out loud. Did you know that even the most advanced science, when it digs deep enough, always ends up facing the great mystery? In quantum physics, the most revolutionary experiments, like the famous double-slit experiment, have shown that reality is not fixed or predictable, but always depends on observation, intention, and the observer's own state. This means, quite simply, that your consciousness and your frequency have real power to influence and transform what you call reality. Think about this. Every time you look in the mirror, do you see yourself as you are, or as you believe yourself to be? Your expectations, your emotions, even your subtlest thoughts, act as filters and molds for physical reality. It's as if you're wearing invisible glasses that tint the world with your own internal colors. And even if you don't always notice, each of those glasses is a frequency you can change. Throughout history, great mystics and visionary scientists have come to the same conclusion. Even if they use different words, the outer world responds to your inner state. And this is not just poetry or mysticism. Discoveries in neuroscience and physics show that the brain and the quantum field are in constant dialogue. Your beliefs generate emotions. Emotions alter your biology and your field, and that field changes the probability of what you attract or experience. To be honest, for a long time I was skeptical of these ideas myself. I thought it was spiritual stuff, out of reach for a rational mind. But life sometimes puts you face to face with experiences that logic alone can't explain. I remember a day when everything seemed to go wrong: health problems, a major conflict, a chain of small catastrophes. In that state, I tried to force an external solution, but nothing worked. Only when I surrendered internally, when I stopped fighting, and simply observed what I felt, without running away, did things start to shift. The background frequency changed, and almost like a domino effect, the circumstances started moving too. It wasn't luck, nor was it random. It was the result of letting go of the struggle, and allowing myself to change my vibration. This is the secret almost no one teaches. Real change doesn't happen by fighting the old frequency, but by recognizing it and opening to a new one. Deep down, we all know that life isn't a rigid, linear sequence, but a spiral of possibilities, where every emotion, decision, and conscious act opens new doors. Have you ever noticed that after an intense experience, good or bad, the world seems to change color? It's as if the entire field shifts in texture, and synchronicities begin to appear one after another. That happens because, in those moments, your inner frequency gets rearranged, and reality responds with signs, encounters, opportunities, or challenges. In quantum physics, this is called the collapse of the wave function. The field of possibilities becomes a specific reality, determined by your attention, your emotion, and your intention. And whether you see it or not, this mechanism is working in every tiny decision of your day. The biggest mistake, and it's important to understand this, is to think that changing your frequency is a matter of sheer willpower, or forcing yourself to think positive all the time. The quantum field, like life itself, responds to coherence, not self-deception. True transformation happens when you sincerely align with what you want to experience, not just in words, but with your entire being. Here's a practical example. Imagine you want to attract abundance, but deep down you feel fear, or you believe you don't deserve it. You can visualize, make affirmations, and work hard. But if your base frequency is still lack, reality will reflect that same pattern. Only when you allow yourself, even for a moment, to truly feel the vibration of abundance, gratitude, or worthiness, does the field begin to reconfigure. It's a process, yes, but the first big leap is the moment of radical honesty, when you admit what you're really feeling, and open, mask-free, to a new frequency. That's where magic and science shake hands. Inner change always comes before outer change. Now, before we go on, I want to offer you a brief express reprogramming ritual. Close your eyes. Breathe in for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6. Visualize a spiral of light, swirling around you. Set the intention. In this instant, I allow my frequency to rise, and my field to open to new possibilities. Feel, even if only for a few seconds, how that spiral cleanses and expands your energy. Stay in that state, and notice if any new sensation arises in your body or mind. In the next part, we'll bring all this down to daily life. I'll show you how to hold on to your new frequency and anchor it into your routine, so the change isn't just a temporary peak, but a real new starting point. Stay with me. The spiral keeps turning, and your reality is about to truly shift. You've come this far because there's a part of you that already senses what many still ignore. True change isn't about luck or brute effort, but about learning to hold a new frequency, even when the world tries to pull you back to the old one. And that's the greatest challenge you'll face, but also the most liberating. Maybe you're asking, how do I keep this new vibration if my daily life keeps dragging me back? If the news, routine, and problems want to pull me right back where I started? The secret is to anchor your chosen frequency in the little acts of every day. You don't have to meditate for hours or isolate yourself on a mountain. Real magic is about making the ordinary extraordinary, about bringing awareness into even the simplest moment. Imagine your frequency as the scent of a perfume. Even if you don't see it, it leaves a trace everywhere you go. Every thought, every emotion, every gesture, Even the way you breathe or talk to yourself reinforces that invisible fragrance. That's why practice isn't something you do apart from life, but within life. Start with the basics. When you wake up, do so with a powerful question. What frequency do I choose to inhabit today? It's not an empty mantra, but a reminder that you have the power to choose, even if your surroundings seem chaotic. For me, the biggest changes didn't come during moments of perfect peace, but in the middle of chaos. Stuck in traffic, I breathe and remember my intention. Hearing bad news, I choose to hold an image of light in my chest. When worry hits, I give myself permission to feel it, but also to release it and reclaim the frequency I want to anchor. Science explains this with neuroplasticity. Each time you choose a different emotion, even for a moment, your brain creates new connections. And quantum physics says that when you repeat that intention, reality gradually aligns with your new field. But here's the essential nuance. It's not about denying what you feel, but about including it and deciding from there. The modern magician doesn't run from pain or discomfort. He recognizes them, moves through them, and from that center, chooses to vibrate a little higher, even if it's just a small shift. Picture yourself as the architect of an invisible bridge. Every time you choose to hold your frequency, even if the world looks the same, that bridge grows stronger. One day, what seemed distant or impossible becomes your new everyday landscape. Here are some practical anchors for daily life. Set a soft alarm on your phone 3 times a day. When it goes off, pause. Breathe in for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6. Ask yourself, am I aligned with the frequency I desire? Use a symbolic object, a stone, a ring, a drawing, as a physical reminder. Every time you see or touch it, return to your intention. Every night, write a single line about how you've changed, even if it's just a small detail. Do it without judging yourself. Notice the cumulative progress. Don't pressure yourself for instant results. The field responds to consistency, not urgency. You'll find that, by holding your chosen frequency even when everything seems the same, reality eventually moves. Opportunities arise, new people appear, unexpected signs show up, the bridge materializes. And remember, the environment will often try to pull you back to the old frequency. It's not a conspiracy, it's just the inertia of the system, the collective habit. But every time you choose again, you become the conscious creator of your life. Before closing this part, here's a super brief but powerful practice. Close your eyes. Breathe in for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6. Visualize your day as a series of open doors. Choose an elevated emotion, gratitude, curiosity, peace, enthusiasm, and let that frequency flood your field like a fragrance that follows you everywhere. Do this several times today, even in the midst of noise. Notice how your surroundings slowly start to respond differently. In the final part, we'll bring it all together. How to turn this momentary change into lasting transformation, and how to become a source of inspiration and positive resonance for those around you. The journey is reaching its climax. Don't let go of the spiral. The moment to collapse your reality without leaving home is closer than ever. You've reached the end of this journey, and if there's one thing I want you to remember, it's this: no external change will ever be as powerful as the silent shift that happens within you when you truly decide to change your frequency. Maybe the world looks the same today, but you are not the same. You've crossed invisible doors. You've sparked a light at the center of your awareness, and even if you don't notice it instantly, your energy field is already rewriting the script of your life. Now you know real power isn't in struggle, or blind hope, or relentless effort. It's in the daily decision to choose your frequency, even when no one else does, even when reality seems stubborn or repetitive. Every emotion you choose to embody, every thought you decide to hold, every little ritual is a declaration to the universe. I am ready for a new reality. Today, I choose my own vibration. Don't get lost chasing immediate results or false promises of shortcuts. True magic is gentle consistency, the art of remembering and returning again and again to the frequency you've chosen to plant. That conscious, humble repetition is what turns the invisible into the visible. the dream into reality. If you ever doubt, if the old frequency tries to pull you back, remember everything you've integrated along the way. Life isn't linear. It's a living spiral of possibilities. Your field always responds to your dominant frequency, not to empty words. Each time you observe, recognize, and release a repetitive emotion, you're tuning your inner instrument. Anchoring your new vibration in the everyday is the bridge to a completely new life. I've seen profound transformations in people who, like you, once allowed themselves this change. Stories of restored health, healed relationships, unexpected abundance, surges of creativity. All of them began with an internal click, a moment of honesty and decision. I myself keep practicing this every single day because I know there is no final summit. The spiral never ends. Now, I want to offer you one final brief visualization, something you can repeat anytime you want to strengthen your field and open new doors in your reality. Close your eyes. Breathe in for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6. See in front of you a luminous spiral, wide, slowly turning. Take a symbolic step into that spiral. As you enter, feel your whole field expanding, as if your energy is merging with infinite possibilities. Set the intention, today I activate the frequency of my best self. Stay there for a few seconds, feeling the lightness, the fresh air, the inner certainty. Feel gratitude for simply being alive and able to choose. When you're ready, gently open your eyes, knowing you've already left your mark on the quantum field. You've finished this cycle, but the real journey is just beginning. I invite you to write, even if it's just one line, which door you want to open from today on, what frequency you wish to anchor, and if you feel inspired, to share your experience in the comments. Nothing strengthens transformation more than daring to testify, even if only to yourself, about what you want to see in the world. If this message has resonated with you, if something inside says it's time to leap into a new spiral, make it known. Not just for me or for this channel, but for your own journey. The community we're building here at Mystic Mind is a resonance field. Each individual transformation amplifies the possibility for everyone else. Remember, real magic doesn't happen in distant places or in impossible rituals. It happens right here, in the exact moment you dare to choose, even a little differently, even just for today. And that just for today, repeated day after day, is what turns you, without even realizing, into the conscious creator of your life. Thank you for coming this far, for daring to look within, for betting on your own frequency. Listen to this journey again whenever you need it. Share your story, if you feel moved. And above all, never forget, you are the one who turns on the light. You are the one who chooses the door. You are the one who changes reality, without leaving home. See you in the next encounter, here at Mystic Mind. The spiral awaits. Until next time.